So you may not have seen a chance, but we were rolling through the Rotorua Business Chamber vision for Rotorua.
Saw a nice Air New Zealand plane.
This is a beautiful part of the world, of course.
It's a great part of the world.
So that vision, along with our colleagues at Rotorua NZ, their going for growth strategy kind of unpacks all the opportunities we know are here in Rotorua. So I just wanted to have a chat to you about some of those things today. So the first one, really, I just would briefly touch on the mood of the boardroom that came out last week. Quite a lot of press around that. And business leaders were rating confidence in the economy quite low at 2.8 out of 5. So just to unpack that, so what do you see as the key barriers to confidence right now? And being future focused, what are the levers that you're able to pull to rebuild it, particularly in the regions where economic sentiment is weaker?
Yeah, look, I mean, no doubt about it, we've been through a very, very difficult time for New Zealand. We've had the toughest recession we've had in 35 years. That's because, frankly, the previous government lost formation on spending. That drives up inflation, that drives up interest rates, puts an economy into recession, and people lose their jobs. And that's why under Labour or national governments for the last 35 years, you've had pretty good understanding of the laws of economics. And if you don't want to respect those laws, you end up causing pain and suffering for working New Zealanders, and that's exactly where we are today. The second thing is that this is a country that was the second biggest spending COVID stimulatory economy in the world, and as a result we've had a massive COVID hangover. Unlike any other country, we were still talking internally while the rest of the world was taking off, and they left us behind. And then likewise we've hit Trump tariffs. So I'll give you context for having done a lot of turnaround jobs in my past. It's like, what are the brutal facts of your reality, whether you like it or not, but that's where we start from. So what we're doing is, we've got to work our way through that. We've got inflation down, we've got interest rates coming down, we've got growth back in the economy this quarter. It's projected to lift into before Christmas, and then we're projected still to grow faster than Australia in the next 2 years, 240,000 new jobs in the next 4. So all of it's coming, but the question is, we don't just want to come out of a recovery, we actually want to shape where the country goes.
Right.
And the reason I came to politics 4 years ago is because there are a lot of 5 million people countries on earth that are doing better than New Zealand. And if I think about, and I've gone and studied over the last 30 years these small countries, small advanced economies, and that's been my fundamental question: why are they wealthier than us, and what are they doing better than us? And we do a lot of things great, but there's some things that we've got to be a bit upfront and honest about. And so if you think about in Ireland, not that long ago, it was 3/4 as wealthy as us per person. Now it's twice as wealthy.
Right.
Singapore, 3 times as wealthy.
Sure.
Australia, 40% wealthier per person.
Yeah.
So while we've had a lovely kumbaya and a lovely internal conversation with New Zealand over the last 6 to 8 years, that's wonderful. But in the meanwhile, I'm always a big believer of you benchmark a standard and an aspiration of where you want to go to. So when you boil it all down, what are the 5 things that make us wealthier? World-class education system. But get your kids to school, for goodness sake. Because if over half our kids aren't at school at the moment, that's lovely, but they are in Singapore, and they are in Canada, and they are in the Netherlands and lots of different places.
Yep.
So world-class education, more technology and innovation, get rid of the red tape so it's easier to do business here, make sure that we have modern, reliable infrastructure, and the 5th one is, which Todd's driving, is increasing trade and investment.
Okay.
Now, if you do those 5 things, that's what collectively lifts the living standards of New Zealand.
Right.
And that's what we call our Going for Growth plan, and that's really the opportunity that we have to make sure the country realises its potential.
So you have talked about going for growth, and you've made growing the economy your top priority.
Yep.
So looking ahead in the next 12 months or so, what are the changes that Rotorua businesses will see to really help us?
Well, you've got 2 things going on. So you've got a turnaround job, so you're having to fix. That's not a sustaining success where everything's going swimmingly well, and you've had to get really brutally direct and upfront about where you are and where you're trying to get to. We've got a 2-speed recovery going on at the moment. So if you're in South Island, Christchurch, rural industry, provincial sectors, they're having record years in terms of exports, and that's fantastic, and they are feeling growth. Farmer confidence, the highest it's been in over a decade. Farmer profitability, the highest it's ever been for a while. Even Wool's having a good year, all of that good stuff. But we've got to work harder in the cities, particularly around property, construction, manufacturing.
That's right.
And that's why you've seen us do things like pull forward the $7 billion worth of government projects before Christmas, make sure that we do things like major events funds, which is, getting us competitive with the Australians because we haven't been. Way too many restrictions on that, can't use concerts. Tanya's got to do a 50-50 joint venture with the government. We've got rid of all of that stuff.
Yeah.
And so let's just be like hunters and hustlers and be frickin' aggressive like the Australians and not be Kiwi polite and nice and miss out on stuff, which is what we seem to have been doing the last 10 years.
That's a really good point. We are really delighted about the major events funding, particularly in Rotorua. We're excellent at that. We've already got we've got a proven record, so we're thrilled to have Rotorua NZ at the helm of bringing in the events and the conferences, etc. So that's
the way
really
you
cool.
can think about it is a guy called Jeff Kennett was Premier of Victoria in Australia. I study as I said, I've been studying 5 million people, states and countries for 30 years, right? And he did a great job. He said there's 4 major events every quarter, there's medium events every month, and there's micro events every week. And I reckon if you organise your way of thinking around events in that fashion, that would be a good way to start.
That's awesome. I think one of the challenges, of course, is there's so much on offer. You have to pick and choose, but you also have to have a little bit of discretionary spend in your back pocket. So,
sorry, but the other thing you've got to do is the world doesn't need New Zealand. When I ran Unilever, it was probably a company bigger than New Zealand as a country, and at that time when I joined, and New Zealand is probably 1/10 to 1/2 of 1% of the global economy.
Yes.
So it's great what we think, but if you're not going to be prepared to, you might think you're great inside New Zealand, but you turn out you're only good, but we don't know. We've got to go out and be really, really world class, not Kiwi hokey, and that's what we've been doing on major events. That's why we've been missing out.
So that's really nice because it leads into...
Sorry I'm talking bluntly, but you guys are business guys, and so I'm sure you can handle it. It's good.